Welcome to the Westminster Effects Doxology Podcast. We exist for the glory of God and the tone of his people. I'm Cody Fields, president of Westminster Effects. Go buy stuff for your guitar at westminstereffects.com. Join the discussion in the Westminster Effects Doxology Podcast Lounge, and make sure you share the show and tell people about it and all that good stuff. I'm joined in person by...
Hey everybody, Bradley Cox, pastor at Resurrection Church in Greer, South Carolina.
Are you recovered yet?
No.
Me neither. I was more wiped out yesterday than Monday, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
But so we have screws loose. We rode in the Ride to End Alzheimer's. Really cool ride.
Ride.
You're actually wearing last year's T-shirt.
Last year's T-shirt, you can see that.
Yeah. So it's a fundraising effort for Alzheimer's and dementia research. And between 300 plus riders this year, over $1 million was raised.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
And counting.
And counting. That's true, because it's going, another 2 weeks, I guess.
That's right.
So it starts in Simpsonville, South Carolina, just southeast of us here.
Our ride does. There's several rides around the country.
Like 6 or 7, right? But ours is the biggest, most popular,
I think that's
my
true.
understanding.
I think that's true.
And so it starts in Simpsonville here in the upstate of South Carolina, and gradually over 3 days makes its way to Charleston.
Yep.
So it's 257 miles over 3 days, and it is grueling.
It is, because for a couple of reasons. I think, the first 2 days are, people think, you're riding from the upstate of South Carolina to Charleston. That's going to be pretty flat. Well, the first 2 days are not flat.
Right.
They might be flatter than some of the rides we do here at the Blue Ridge mountains, but it's a fairly hilly ride, and it's in the middle of July, bro. And I think we were in a heat wave this year that was worse than last year.
I didn't feel that way.
You didn't feel that way
until we got to Highway 17 going into Charleston. That's when the heat really got to me. So I felt more comfortable this year than last year. Maybe that's because I just wore sun sleeves instead of full Under Armour cool gear. Maybe that had something to do with it, but
got to protect the tats.
Right. I paid too much for them to let the sun ruin them. But yeah, anyway, and I don't want skin cancer, so whatever.
That's true.
That's
true. I got you.
Right. But so at mile 81 on the last day getting into Charleston, so it's 101 miles. At mile 81, you have to stop, get in a group, and you get a police escort, and it just gets unbearably hot. 6-lane highway, no cover at all.
None.
We had no cloud cover, and it was just miserable. But you got to skip that part this year because,
unfortunately,
of other adventures that we had where you took it. I mean, if people are watching, you've got
I'm not
going
to show you my hip, but
you'd have to unzip your pants for that part. But please don't do that.
No.
But you wiped out pretty hard.
Yeah, it was mile 55-ish on the third day.
Yep.
So 220 some miles in, I guess. Right.
We were in a group that we shouldn't have been in for the two of us.
Probably so. And I was really tired, really hot. I got a little loose, and I clipped the wheel of the bike in front of me and lost control, went down, and the bike behind me ran over me.
Yep.
And I got a pretty, bruised up hip. I got up, everybody stopped. And this is one great thing about this ride is that it's so well run.
Yep.
This may not be true, but it felt like there was a SAG car, one of the cars that follows
it. Was within a minute.
Seconds, it seemed.
Yeah.
They were there, ready to help. I got back on the bike once I dusted myself off and rode to the next rest stop, which was about 5 miles away. And there was EMS there. They checked me out. Yet again, a testament to how well they run this ride. They checked me out. Nothing's broken, just bruised and scraped. They dressed my wounds. I got back on the bike and was going to try to tough it out. Because again, by the time we got to the rest stop, we're at mile 60. We got 20 miles to go, 21 miles to go till we get to that mandatory stop with the police escort. But at 75 miles, there was another rest stop. And between those two, the pain was getting worse and worse and worse. And my bike was acting a little wonky. So I got to that rest stop at mile 75 and I tapped out and I got in the SAG vehicle. They took me to the very last rest stop in downtown Charleston after you guys had done that really hot part. And you guys showed up, and it's a long story, but I ended up getting my bike off the SAG vehicle and rode the last 6 miles with you to the finish line.
Yeah, I was right at 6 miles, and that turned out really well, I thought.
Because we all got to cross the line together, even though I didn't technically finish the whole thing.
One thing, I don't think I've told you this, so when you wiped out, I was behind the guy that ran over you, so I had to unclip really fast. I have a chain ring tattoo on the socks I was wearing because I unclipped so fast.
Wow.
But I got, we were already really hungry from that ride, and that next rest stop was the sandwich stop. Where they make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and you crush it as fast as you can.
Fast you can.
And but I was so hungry, and I got such an adrenaline rush. I got nauseous for a couple miles.
I don't doubt it. I mean, it was like, what's funny is something like that happens, and you do have that adrenaline rush. I actually felt stronger for a brief minute. And then the adrenaline wore off, and I started to realize how much pain I was in.
And one of our guys, Zeke, told you that would happen.
Yeah, and I didn't believe him, but sure enough, it did.
I could tell you couldn't believe him too when he told you.
I was like,
was like, okay, whatever.
Whatever, I'm gonna finish this thing, but I just couldn't. But people say we have a screw loose. Some might say that, but the way I think of it is, when you do really, really hard things, it relativizes the normal hard things.
It does.
And I'm not suggesting everybody should try to do this, but there is something to be said for stretching yourself, challenging yourself, and then coming back to quote normal life with a little bit different perspective.
Right.
I don't know. For me, it's a thrilling thing. It's a stress relief, and I love that we get to do it. I hope we get to do it next year.
Yeah. It was good for me in that I actually finished this year.
Right. That was a big goal of ours.
Yeah, it was to get me across the finish. And so last year, I got separated from our group pretty early on that third day, and I tapped out with 8 miles left because I had done most of that 100-mile ride solo, which, if
you think about it, is incredibly impressive.
Right. And but my bike fit. I was in the group most of the time. I think I got separated from y'all for like 2 miles or something like that.
Yep.
And I told Jonathan, I was like, look, I have nothing left in my legs today. And typical, like if anybody knows Jonathan Seymour, one of our elders, like this will sound exactly like something he would say. He just goes, find something.
Yeah.
If he's never yelled, let's go at you, then you haven't really done anything active with him. Find something. And I found a little something, and we did back off on some of our efforts and stuff like that. And I did get across, and it was miserable.
Did you have a moment where you questioned whether or not you're going to make it?
Oh yeah. Especially on 17.
Yeah.
Because that was the road I tapped out on. And it wasn't a mental thing of, I have to get this far and then I'll be okay. It was just, this sucks.
Yeah.
This is not fun right now.
It was the heat index was like 106 or 7.
It was insane. It felt like being in an oven.
Yeah. But it's a great thing that we got you across the finish line. That was one of our big goals, and so it was a team win, no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. There was one full circle moment for me, and this happened last year as well, but we spent a decent amount of time riding with the WYFF team.
Yeah.
So WYFF is our local NBC affiliate, and their former sports anchor, Jeff Hart, has Alzheimer's, but he's been riding in this 3-day ride the last couple of years, and he did incredible. His disease is progressing and stuff like that. But my initial major in college was radio. I wanted to be a sports broadcaster, and when I was 11 or 12, my dad set up with Jeff Hart for him to take us on a tour of the WYFF studio.
How about that?
And so I got to see all of the stuff and kind of hear a little bit of his story. And I was like, well, this is pretty cool. And I kind of want to do this. And so ended up obviously with the journalism degree instead, because I'm better at writing than talking and multitasking and stuff like that. But it was a little full circle for me because like he's like right here and I'm riding beside him.
Yeah.
Doing sports things. And it's a really good cause too. It kind of proves some things that we've been talking about, in that not all kingdom work is church work.
Right.
We were Christians raising money to help eliminate part of the curse.
Yeah.
Which we're called to do.
I think that's true.
We're called to help alleviate suffering and to, people talk about heal the sick, raise the dead. Well, sometimes healing the sick comes from doctors doing stuff.
Well, and I said to several people, and I think I included it in some of my online fundraising, is that I believe God is sovereign over this disease.
Oh, yeah.
So the people that I know, one in particular, my predecessor here at Res, his wife is in the late stages of Alzheimer's right now. God is sovereign over that.
Yep.
But I think he's also sovereign over advances in modern medicine.
Absolutely.
That could eventually provide a cure, if not a stay, with the progression of this disease. And so I think it for us, it really has been a joy to not only do the ride, which is fun and there's so much camaraderie and it's an adventure, but to also participate in a really well-run cause.
Yes.
Where the dollars are used for what they say they're going to use them for, and there actually is progress being made, from what I understand. Right.
And there was even, I don't know if you saw this guy, but there was, I don't think you would have seen him, but it was in the police escort group that we were in, and I was further back than everybody else, and you weren't there anyway. So no, you
wasn't there.
But there was a guy who had on his name tag, it was Dr. So-and-so, ask me about the research we're doing.
I did see that.
Okay, you did see that.
I may not have seen it at that point, but I did see that.
Yeah, and so you have people active in that field participating with this, which says a lot.
It does say a lot. It says a lot of that, they're actually making progress on this.
Right.
And it's such a horrible disease. I do hear really good stories at times from spouses who've journeyed with their spouse through this. But there's also some really, really, really hard things that take place. And so it's fun and it's an honor to be a part of it. Shout out to, I don't know if they go by Ride to Remember or Ride to End Alls. It seems like both. Shout out to those guys. They're doing a great job.
Fantastic job. Go check them out and see if there's a ride in your area.
Or come ride with us.
Or come ride with us, especially if you're in the South Carolina area. Jonathan will yell at you. So we're short on time. You got to go. Go love God, love your neighbor, and make some music. We'll see you next time.